Hi guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. Donald, you and me both. I wish they had more pictures, diagrams, videos. Oh, I got good news. Everybody, the whole house is playing Baldur's Gate tonight, which means he won't be screaming like an idiot tonight. It's not Overwatch or anything. It's Baldur's Gate. Yeah, I wish we had more details. Way more details. And I'm pretty sure the jury does too. And I'm thinking about the jury. Like, if you were on this jury, what are you thinking so far? You heard a wind gust blew it over. You heard there was no wind. You heard the whole unit was unstable, fell over yesterday. I don't know. The biggest thing I heard so far is that the unit was unstable, fell over yesterday. So they should have known it was unstable. Not so much the wind. I just, maybe because I heard more later about with the weatherologist. The wind was strong in the morning, but by the time the lift was going, it wasn't a factor. Maybe it was, though. I don't know. They don't know. The people who worked there that day just don't know. If it was the unit being unstable, they would say that, though. They would say, I think maybe the unit was unstable. If it was the wind, they would say that. And everybody's saying, I don't know. I don't know why this fell over. So I'm struggling with this one. I wish they would give us way more detail. But let's get to it.
To that, is they not?
Don't worry, we're going to hear this part. Yes.
I did. So I need those removed. I need the objections removed is the issue. Okay, all right. So for record purposes, I'm sustaining defense's objection. And are we able to do that?
Right now.
Okay, thank you.
Looking at page 145, line 24. Go back up so you can see the question. I wish you could catch both pages and make it a lot easier. I can't. You got it. I take it off you. What we're trying to do here, sir, is make sure that we're actually following the testimony, not what you say it is, okay? Yes, sir. Because what you say it is, we can just look at the transcript, can't we? Yes. And that's when we'll know exactly what they said, right? Yes. Not what you think they said as the corporate rep for TNT, correct? Correct. It's more important to know what they said, not what you say they said. True? That's much more important. I agree. Okay. Can we do that, Carlos? Yes, sir. Because as he's doing that, you set it up here and you told us about 4 different witnesses what you claim they said, right? Yes, sir. What you claim they said, true? Yes. But now we're looking at what they actually said, true? That is true. Okay, let's look at what they actually said. Mr. Hemley, under oath, was asked point blank by Mr. Burgundy. They, meaning TNT, was sloppy in the way that they handled this wind issue that was present in the morning and picked up after lunch, right? Yes. Did I read that right? You did. Okay.
Objection, Your Honor. So this mischaracterizes.
Counselor, give me the legal objection, not the speaking objection. What's your objection?
Mischaracterizes the evidence.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Can we?
stop. Overruled. He's reading from the transcript.
Okay, so that's the problem. You also told us,
And we approach.
We're gonna take a lunch break. Never. That's gonna come. Watch your heads, please. What you said. All right. Mr. Kim? Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies.
You know, this is all filters, right?
Thank you,
This
Mr.
isn't
Kim.
real.
Yes, Your Honor, it's improper impeachment because he's using the deposition transcript. Mr. Henley has already testified, his trial testimony in this case is already heard. That's the only thing that is with respect to impeachment said as to his trial testimony. His deposition testimony is not in it.
Your Honor, the deposition was played. It is the trial testimony. I mean, to argue that is, with all due respect, ridiculous. This is what was played to the jury without the objections. So this is in fact his trial testimony.
He needs to use the trial transcript.
That's makes no sense.
So related to that, I'm gonna overrule it. I think you opened the door as well, Counselor, when you asked him what was said during the testimony. If he stated what was said and it's different from what was done in the deposition or the transcript, I'm gonna allow it. So it's overruled.
And one other point, he actually said with regard to Henry, you heard his deposition played in this court because we know Henry didn't show up live. So everything that he's complaining about, he creates his own problem.
Canada saved me. Canada saved my eyes because I can't get to an eye doctor in the United States. They're too freaking expensive.
I already made my ruling and said that he opened the door. That's my position on it. Okay.
Thank you.
And so at this time, we are gonna take a lunch break. And I will ask if Mr. Carlos is still in here for plaintiff, as you plan to play, just that the objections in the form is removed from any other transcript that is going to be used on your
Absolutely, we'll do that.
recross. Anything else at this time, gentlemen, before we, and ladies, before we take a break? No?
I think we'll check.
Okay, we're gonna take a break. Everyone can be.
What time would you like to come back?
I would like to come back at 12:45. Okay, thank you. So almost an hour, but not quite. All right, thank you.
I'm going to skip to the end real quick to see how long this video really is. Okay. It's 5 more hours long, I think. Okay.
You said that was.
I don't know if they couldn't have started. The judge turned the microphone on though. I didn't see them stand for the jury.
It will.
There we go.
Madness Monday. 1 second.
I haven't a single solitary idea how to fix the echo. They say if you need to fix the echo, wear earbuds. And my earbuds, I put up so high. I put them up here. I have no idea how the cats got them, but I am down to one earbud. The first pair are gone. This is the second pair. So I'm gonna have to fly to Houston again. So the airplane can give me more earbuds.
She's actually returning to a marker today.
You just got a car. You get another one?
I'm ready.
All rise for the jury.
Right, good. Okay. Okay, you may be seated. Plaintiffs' counsel, you can proceed with your recross.
All right, I just want to make sure I'm focused here. You sat here, you looked at the jury and you told them, and you listed off several witnesses that you claim said that wind was not an issue, remember? Yes. One of those that you said that was Mike Hinman, recall? Yes. Okay. Carlos, let's close this loop here, page 125, line 18.
That's the sidebar.
Just asking Carlos to put this on the screen, Your Honor.
Which portion?
Close this loop here.
Sustain. Go ahead.
Carlos, could you put this on the screen, please? Line 125, page 125, line 18 to 23. Bring it up so we can see it real quick. We have 1 to 2 reasons why this incident happened.
Is it just me, or does the asshole completely disregard this person as a lawyer and a human being sometimes? Just completely disregards them.
One of the hazards that was not appropriately addressed, that should have been addressed, is the wind issue. Yes. Did I read that correctly? Yes. Carlos, 145, line 24. Capture the answer at line 4 on the next page. Page 145, line 24. They were sloppy in the way that they handled this wind issue that was present in the morning and picked up after lunch, right? Yes, did I read that correctly?
Yes.
You also told us, I think, that the crane operator, Juan Garcia said that wind wasn't an issue. That's what you told us, right?
No, the crane operator was Ben Kinkle.
I'm sorry, good point. The rigger on the fourth floor, Juan Garcia, you said that he said the wind wasn't an issue, right?
That's correct.
That's what you told the ladies and gentlemen of the jury under oath as the corporate rep for TNT, isn't that right?
I said that he said he didn't believe wind was an issue.
Yeah, let's look. Page 24 of his testimony that's played in this court, lines 4 through 11. And let's look at what he actually said. Page 24, line 4 through 11. Were the winds an issue that day? I don't know. You're saying sitting here, you don't remember whether or not they were an issue or not. Is that fair? No, sir, that's not fair. I don't remember. That's what he said, isn't it?
That's correct.
Okay. You also referenced, you told us what you recall Anthony Ramon saying. Would you admit that Anthony Ramon actually told us that there were wind gusts on the fourth floor?
I do recall him saying that,
I see you, Kelly.
but he said he didn't think it was that windy.
Do you recall him telling us that there were wind gusts on the fourth floor?
I believe he said something about wind.
He didn't say something, sir. Let's look. Page 277, line 22. Of the trial transcript from Anthony Ramon. So there was a wind gust, was there? Yes, sir. Pick up lines 24, 25, all the way to the next page. Line 1 of the next page. Same page, line 24, 25. Same page, lines 24 and 25. There was a gust of wind. But wind. The unit tipped over. 2 true statements, correct? Answer, yes, sir. Did I get that right?
What it says.
Okay. And then page 278, line 21. Page 278, lines 21 through 24, please. He goes on to talk about the funnel effect of the wind on the fourth floor, doesn't he?
That's what it says.
Because it focuses the wind, correct? It makes a funnel effect on the wind. Yes, sir. Did I get that right?
You got that right?
That's what he said to the ladies and gentlemen of this jury, isn't it? Isn't it?
I don't recall exactly what he said when he was up here.
That's exactly what he said, because that's his trial testimony, sir, taken down by our court reporter.
Yes, sir.
And you, of course, you were here for Mr. Perez, the very first witness, weren't you?
Yes.
Without us having a look at this, would you admit that he said that there was a gust of wind that knocked this thing over?
Mr. Perez did mention wind.
He didn't mention it, sir. He said it specifically. Let's look at page 209 of the trial transcript, line 3, and go down and catch all the way to line 19. He was asked directly, was it windy? It was very windy that day. Did you see this thing fall on David Marie? Yes, sir. Did you see what caused it to fall? Yes, sir. What was it? It was the wind that knocked it over. Did you see it with your own eyes?
That's the only way it sort of works, Kelly, is if you watch it. If you're watching it on Twitch, that sort of means you like it. And if you're not watching it, then you don't like it. So you don't like stuff on Twitch or anything like that. It's sort of either you watch it or you don't watch it. And the more people that watch at the same time, the more other people they show it to. So like they go through who's all streaming live right now on Twitch, and then how many watchers they have. And the ones with the most watchers or more than 3 or something like that, they go up into the bar on people's Twitches when they log into Twitch. You know, they have that bar at the top of what's going on right now. So it's sort of weird. It's, yeah, you can't I can't like get 7 likes or anything like that. It's people either are watching it or they're not watching it. And once you stop watching it, that automatically goes away. Like that view like goes away. If that makes any sense. It doesn't to me, but
The wind on my backside tip over the blow that killed David. Did I read that right?
You read that right?
He didn't say something about the wind. He's made specifically, the wind tipped this thing over that killed Mr. LaRue. Isn't that right?
That's what he's saying, yes.
Okay. Now, there were a series of questions, sir, where you were asked by Mr. Kim, who did that? Who made that decision? Who made that decision? Who made that? Remember those questions?
I do.
And every time you said David LaRue, Wayne Cannon, David LaRue, Wayne Cannon. Remember?
Yes,
You said that about, I think 6 or 7 times, didn't you?
sounds correct.
Well, David LaRue didn't work for Wayne Mechanical. You know that, don't you?
I believe he worked for Way Engineering.
Okay, that's right. But you kept saying David LaRue, Wayne Mechanical, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
That was a mistake on your part?
Might have been a mistake.
Okay, how many other mistakes have you made in your testimony?
None I can think of.
Okay, well, we just saw multiple ones already, didn't we? So you would admit that David LaRue did not work for Wayne Mechanical. He worked for Wayne Engineering, true?
True.
Okay. But you did say David LaRue, David LaRue, David LaRue. He's made all those decisions, right?
Yes.
And so you blame David LaRue, don't you?
I don't blame him.
I actually am an expert in weather in Texas because I was there once. So I'm an expert. And I'm pretty sure I felt the wind a little bit. So I would know. They could have just asked me.
Don't blame him.
No, no.
Because you recall, you said in here, page 179 of the opening statement, trial transcript, line 15.
He's standing up.
Line 16. And you heard all of us heard the same thing, what Ms. No stood up in front of the jury and said. No one's blaming David LaRue for this. You would agree. Now, we're going to make sure we're clear. As the corporate representative for the defendant in this case, TNT, your official position is that you do not place any blame on David LaRue, period. In the story, true?
Objection, Your Honor, to the sidebar. What the attorneys say is not evidence.
Sustain.
I'm asking you whether you agree as the TNT corporate representative with this statement. No one's blaming David LaRue. Agree or disagree?
I agree, but
But,
David Lurie's decisions are ultimately what were responsible for what happened.
so you blame him. He's responsible for his own death is what you're saying. Is that what you're saying? You can say it if that's what you're saying. We need to hear it.
I can't agree or disagree with that.
Okay, so you wouldn't say, so you won't say whether David LaRue was responsible for his own death. You won't say that.
I think that David Lurie made a lot of bad decisions. Unfortunately, that got him killed.
So he's responsible for his own death.
I guess when you put it down to that, yes.
So you disagree with this statement? You made it very clear. As the corporate representative, he's responsible for his own death. True? That's what you said?
It's hard to say, but yeah.
Okay. And TNT, according to you, did nothing wrong, right?
I don't think in what happened here, no, I don't think we did.
Okay. So I just want to be clear. We're entitled to know. You're the corporate rep. I want to hear from the corporate rep. Your position is David LaRue's totally responsible for his own death. TNT has no responsibility whatsoever. True statement?
True statement.
Okay. And you heard Mr. Kim, who stood up at the opening statement and said, oh, we made a few mistakes, but there's other people. Remember all that?
Yes.
You disagree with that too? You think David LaRue is responsible for his own death? TNT.
No, he does not. But the wind that they're talking about in Texas, first, there isn't any. If you're hot in Texas, do not expect the wind to come and save you because it's not going to. So there's no way it pushed over that crane because it's too hot. It's too hot in Texas for the wind to push over a crane. This is what you need if you're in Texas, if you live in Texas. This is a shower head where you put ice cubes. Ice cubes. And then you can live in Texas. There's no wind, there's no relief.
T has no responsibility whatsoever. That's what you said, true?
Yes.
Wade Mechanical asked for a lift plan so they could send it to the general contractor, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
You sent them something that was not a lift plan at all, was it?
I sent them what was asked of me.
Sir? They asked for a lift plan, true?
Yes.
What you sent was not a lift plan, was it?
It was a lift plan that was, that had all the information on it that they were asking for.
Sir, was it the same crane operators?
It was not.
Okay, was it the same crane?
No.
Okay. Was it the same, and did it include all the same lifts?
No, it did not.
Okay, so let's make sure we're clear. They asked for a lift plan, you gave them something with a different crane, different loads, different crane operators, different lifts, true?
That's correct.
And you're a sales manager, aren't you?
No, account manager.
Account manager.
Yes.
How many folks you manage here as account manager?
I don't actually manage any employees of TNT. I manage specific customer accounts.
This was your customer account?
Yes.
Okay, so I heard you say last week that you originated this business.
With mechanical?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and what does that mean? You get extra money because you originated it?
No, nothing like that.
You don't get any bonuses because you originated the business?
I did not.
You're the reason that Wade Mechanical chose TNT?
Yes.
And what did you tell Wade Mechanical to convince them to hire TNT?
I just met with them, discussed our capabilities, kind of told them what we can offer.
You tell them y'all are experts in crane?
I did not say that.
Are y'all experts in cranes?
I think at TNT consecutively as a whole, we are.
Okay, so TNT, you would agree that TNT holds itself as experts in cranes?
Consecutively, for all of our employees, yes.
And they're experts in rigging too?
We can be, yes.
Yeah, you are. I mean, it's in your title of your name. TNT crane and rigging. That's what you
I think it was September 20th or something like that, I believe.
call, right?
Yes.
So why is it so hard for you just to tell us you're the experts? You are, aren't you?
I think we have a good idea what we're doing.
I
Yes.
didn't ask that. Are you the experts?
Collectively, for everyone at TNT, yes, I think we would be experts.
That's why people hire you, because the people that don't know anything about cranes. Y'all have crane and rigging in your title. People go to you, they want the expertise. That's what you sell them as the account manager, right?
We sell the customer, I guess what they ask us for.
They ask you for crane expertise. That's what they're looking for. That's what you sell, right?
Not always.
But certainly not in this case, right? Not in this case. You didn't sell them expertise. You sold them something quite different, did you not?
I sold them what they asked for.
Well, I don't think they asked for one of their guys to be killed, sir. They didn't ask for
He's
that.
an ass. He's such an
Okay,
ass.
okay. That's what they got, didn't it? They got the guy killed, right?
I don't agree with that statement.
Well, he's not here anymore. You agree with that?
I do agree with
You
that.
agree he was, let me just make sure we're clear. He was crushed. You know that, right?
Yes,
You know, he was, one witness said smashed. You know that.
I've heard that as well.
Another one said his arm was severed here at the bicep, right?
Unfortunately, yes,
He was bleeding out on the fourth floor, right?
yes.
You understand that he cried out, this thing was tipping over on top of him.
I don't know that,
Well, if you read the statements, you would. Did you know that?
if you say so.
Okay. They tried to give him CPR, they got some color back in his face, right?
I've heard that as well.
And first to do that, and then all this blood and bile came out of his mouth so they could clear his airway to try to get some air into his body, right?
I've heard that also.
And you also heard that in order to get Francisco out, they had to lift up, which caused it to crush David even more. You heard that, right?
I've also heard that.
Yeah. Francisco obviously was hurt, but he survived, when we saw him on the video, right?
Yes.
But we didn't hear testimony from David Lurie, did we?
Did not.
Because he died. right?
Unfortunately, yes, he did.
Yeah, and you're here telling us everything that David knew, but the best person to ask about what he actually knew and what he was actually told would be him, right?
Oh, you're correct.
Yeah, but he's not here to tell us, is he?
Yes,
And and he's not here to sit here while you 100% blame him. Is
he's not.
yeah, but his wife is. She's right there. You realize that?
I do.
Okay. They put together.
Hey, lawyer, here's an idea. Why don't you ask him questions?
After they got the vial that came out of his mouth, they put together 2 different tourniquets to try to stop this gush of blood. Did they not?
They did.
And even later, hours later, when they took the pictures up there, the blood was still wasn't dry, was it?
It was not.
There was a lot of blood, wasn't there?
Yes,
Hours later in these pictures, lots of blood still left, right?
yes,
That's what we're here talking about, isn't it?
that's correct.
And you told us a while ago, you used the words, I wrote it down, when you were talking about the wind gauge. The wind gauge not working is not fatal to the lift. Remember saying that?
Yes,
Y'all use that word. It's not fatal to the lift, recall?
yes,
It was fatal to David LaRue, wasn't it?
No.
He died, didn't he?
he did.
Yeah, and I want to, since we're on the issue of wind, are you going to dispute that there are at least 6 different witnesses that talk about how windy it was up there? Are you going to dispute it?
No.
Okay. So are you going to try to come here and rewrite history and tell us it wasn't windy up there?
I'm going to.
Okay. And could you sit here while your own expert that you brought all the way from Wichita, Kansas told us it was windy up there?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Y'all paid an expert from Wichita, Kansas to come here, did you not?
We did bring an expert in.
And he came in and told us it was 27 miles per hour gusts up there, didn't you? Okay. And y'all took issue because we said it was 32. Remember all that?
Yes.
So we all know it was windy up there, don't
It may have been windy, but my guy said it wasn't a concern.
we? What guys? We already heard from your guys.
From Mario Ramirez,
He didn't go to the 4th floor.
Juan,
Juan Garcia doesn't remember.
Ben Kinkle, the operator, said he didn't think wind was a concern.
He didn't think, he was down before, he was down there with a broken wind meter on the ground. The one guy that was up there for you guys before this man, Juan
Hi,
Garcia, he
Rich.
saw exactly what he said. He doesn't remember, does he?
That's what it said.
Just doesn't remember. Now, speaking of that, these guys that gave statements, one of which I think was Mario Ramirez. Remember that 2-page single space typed up statement he gave?
Yes.
When that happened, did y'all believe y'all were going to be sued?
I actually wasn't involved in it at that point.
Did y'all believe y'all were going to be sued on the day after when he was writing that statement?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I do not know.
Okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. You told us that so you will admit that there was at least 6 witnesses who were actually there, who were actually on the fourth floor, said it was windy, right?
They did at the time.
Yeah, and your own expert said it gusts up to 27 miles an hour, right?
I believe that's what he said.
And the forecasted gusts of 35 miles per hour up there at the 4th floor, right?
I don't recall if that's what it was.
The forecast gusts of 30 miles per hour, and according to your own expert, that'd be 35 on the 4th floor. Remember that?
If you say so.
Okay, that's what your expert said. The guy y'all brought in from Wichita, Kansas. Okay. Did you check the forecast that morning?
I did not.
Did Ben Kinkle, the crane operator?
I believe he did.
He didn't say that in his depo?
I-
Did you just make that up?
No.
Okay, where'd you get that?
So I actually, so as a crane operator, you usually check the weather before you go out.
I know.
No, that was really deadly. What? I can't remember what that one was. It 2 people who died or 22 people who died? Was it 20 some people who died? That was a really, really bad day.
You're supposed to. The question is, where's the testimony that says he did?
I don't have that.
Yeah, because he didn't say that, did he?
I don't know.
Yeah. We heard his depo, right?
I did.
His depo, 38 different times, he said he didn't feel comfortable answering, remember?
That's correct.
38 different times when he was asked point blank about very key issues in this case, including wind meter, critical lift, and various other things. He just didn't answer. Didn't that right?
That's right. Y'all beat him up pretty bad.
I
He
didn't
shut
beat
down.
up anybody, sir.
It was Mr. Bergen, correct?
That's the reason that he refused to answer questions because he felt he was going to beat up.
So
Okay, that's what you come up with?
that's what I'm going to go with.
Okay, you go with that. Now, would you agree that 38 times he said, I just don't feel comfortable answering?
I would agree.
Okay. So you can't tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury that he checked the forecast, can you?
I can't say that with absolute certainty.
What you would say is, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, he should have checked the forecast, right? Right?
It probably wouldn't hurt to check.
No, because it could keep somebody from being hurt, right? That's the point. Right? That's the point, isn't it right?
No.
So, you told us, if I'm not mistaken, when you were asked by Mr. Kim about this wind gauge, you said that was optional equipment. That was the words you used, didn't it?
I did.
That's not what the manual says, is it? Is it?
What's the manual say?
Did you not look at the manual before you just got on the stand as a corporate rep? Speaking formally and officially for the corporation about a key piece of equipment involved in the death of a man. Shouldn't you know what the manual says before you just start telling people that it's optional equipment?
It says to either use the anemometer or use the page that's in the manual to determine wind
Let's look at
speed.
the manual. Plaintiff's Exhibit 26. You could bring up page 165, please, Carlos. Carlos, it says wind speed indicator. Can we agree a wind speed indicator is an anemometer?
Yes,
Okay. The crane is equipped with a wireless wind speed indicator integrated into the rated capacity limiter system. Doesn't say that's an optional equipment, add-on equipment, aftermarket equipment. It's part of the crane, isn't it?
that's what it says. But the one that was on that crane was an aftermarket Trimble unit.
Well, y'all changed it up, didn't you?
We didn't change anything.
Have you looked at the records for the maintenance on this crane?
So I have not, but the,
But question is, have you looked at the records for the maintenance on this crane?
No.
Have you looked at how many different times they've done work on the wind speed indicator?
I have not,
Why not?
because I'm not part of the maintenance department.
Do you not have the same documents available to you that I have to me?
I have not seen the maintenance records for the machine.
So you would say, you don't know, and can we agree that part of the daily inspection for the crane is to make sure that all the equipment on the crane works?
Yes,
And we know that this wind meter wasn't working, no.
the Bluetooth would not connect.
Then whatever you call it. It has a wind speed indicator, it's not working, right?
Yes,
You can say, well, the Bluetooth, but that's an important part of it. It's a wireless wind speed indicator. If the wireless part's not working, it means the wind speed indicator's not working through.
sure.
Okay. Isn't that something you're supposed to inspect before you start operating crane?
So it was inspected.
Is it something you're supposed to inspect?
It's part of the inspection.
And is it something that if it's not working, you're supposed to write down?
Yes,
Was it written down?
no,
Fail, correct? That's a mistake, right?
not correct. It wasn't an option, one of the check boxes on the crane inspection.
If there's something wrong with the crane, it's not working, wind speed indicator, that should be noted on the crane inspection. Isn't that true?
It can be noted on there.
I didn't ask if it can be, sir. You're the official word, you're the official voice of TNT now. That's the role that you took on. In fact, your lawyer during opening statement said you volunteered for this role. Remember that?
I did.
Okay, so you volunteered. I want to hear from you of whether that's something that must be indicated on the crane inspection. No.
To me, it should have been indicated.
Okay, it wasn't, was it? No. That was a mistake, wasn't it? That was an oversight, wasn't it?
I think it was something that Ben just didn't list.
When you, in this account that you were managing, this was the Wade Mechanical account?
Yes,
Did you tell them that you were sending them a crane, that the wind meter didn't work?
I did not.
That's what they purchased. They purchased the use of a crane, right?
Yes,
They purchased the use of people that to operate the crane, right?
yes,
And they were purchasing a crane that worked, right?
correct,
But there were parts of it that didn't work. Right?
correct.
So you sold them a bill of goods, didn't you?
No, we sold him a crane that was capable of safely making the lift.
Sure. You sold him a crane where the wind meter doesn't work, didn't you? That's what you sold,
We did, but wind was not a concern that day.
sir. I object non-responsibly on it. To the last part where he adds in wind was not an issue that day.
Sustain.
You sold him a crane and the use of a crane where the wind meter didn't work. Isn't that right?
We sold them a crane that was safely capable of making the lifts to the fourth floor.
You sold them
The kitten keeps climbing up the green screen.
a crane with a component that didn't work. Isn't that right?
We sold them a crane with a component that would not connect to Bluetooth at that time.
And wouldn't work. Isn't that right?
Would not connect to Bluetooth at that time.
So it couldn't detect speed, could it?
There, we had other options to detect
Yes,
wind
sir.
speed.
Objection non-responsive.
Sustain.
Yes, but we had other options to detect wind speed that day.
The wind that you said doesn't exist.
It may have existed, but it was not a concern in reference to lifting these units.
Have you offered to give them any of their money back because you sold them something that wasn't fully operational?
No.
Okay. You claim that, man, you sure would like to have the drawings of that unit that been moved, right?
Yes,
Did you ever ask for them?
I did not.
Okay. I mean, of course, the lift plan didn't have anything to do with this lift because it was different load, different crane, different everything, right? So it wouldn't have mattered. Your lift plan would have been the same.
So the weights were given to me on the sidewalk.
Are you a rigging expert?
I am a certified rigger.
Okay, so as far as when you're on the work site, you know how to rig and how not to rig.
Depends on the project, yes.
Are you a crane expert?
No.
Sorry.
No.
I mean, if we saw the specs of the unit that tipped over and killed David, right?
Yes.
And are you able to look at those specs and tell that this thing is top heavy or has all the weight on one side?
So in the corner pressures on some of the drawings, yes.
So you had specs when you were preparing the lift plan that was corrected or that was requested, you would have been able to see that this thing was, I'm calling it top heavy, but basically had all the weight on one side, right?
It would have shown that.
Yeah. And what would you have done differently?
I don't think we would have done anything differently.
Okay. So now we know. Now we know that when you say, well, they didn't give me the specs, so I didn't know it was top heavy when I did my lift plan. What your position is, it wouldn't have mattered. I would have made the same lift plan. True?
That's not what I said.
Okay. How would your lift plan have changed?
So the lift plan would have remained the same, but we've done the exact same thing and let the customer know that this thing's side heavy.
You told them, hey, you know what, under these circumstances, you better use a cantilever?
No,
You wouldn't even tell them now.
I would have given the same two options as before.
They didn't ask for two options though, did they?
They did not.
That's something that you came up with, isn't it?
Yes.
So when your lawyer suggested that they asked for two options, the truth is, that was your idea to do that, wasn't it?
It was my idea to offer them a second more convenient option.
There wasn't a lift plan at all for this lift that killed David, was there?
So we had a lift plan that we'd made day of that encompassed this lift.
Sir, was there a lift plan specifically for the lift that killed David LaRue?
For this exact lift, no.
So you came up with a lift plan, you already said had really nothing to do with this lift on request. Remember the one requested? Remember that?
The one
What
that,
you came up with, that you said it was wrong crane, wrong operators, wrong everything. Remember that one?
so at the time, that was the crane we had available.
Yeah, okay. Did that one's wind meter work?
I don't know if that one has a wind meter on it or not.
Okay. And then the actual lift plan done on the day that David was killed, it didn't have anything to do. It wasn't for the actual lift that killed David LaRue, was it?
Can you repeat the question?
The actual lift plan that Ben Kinkle prepared, remember that one?
Yes.
That was not for the lift that killed David LaRue, was it?
No, that was for a lift on the rooftop.
Okay. Did you ever sit in the cab of the crane that was being operated at the time it killed David LaRue?
Not that particular crane, no.
Did you see the pictures I put on the screen, of the actual, what do you call it, where you look at the,
The LMI.
say it again?
LMI,
What's LMI?
the load moment indicator, the computer.
I'm just talking about the screen, like when you get in your car, it has all the gauges and stuff, what do you call that in the crane?
That's the LMI.
LMI?
Yes,
Okay. Did you look at the LMI of this crane?
I've seen the picture.
You know, they went, they took pictures of called the LMI right after this happened.
Yes, I believe that's where that picture came from.
And they not only looked at the LMI, took a picture of it, they also looked at what the visual that Ben would have had from the crane cab, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Did you notice anything about the LMI that jumped out at you?
Not immediately, no.
Well, once I pointed it out, did you notice anything that jumped out at you?
No,
Did you notice that the wind meter is very clear, not working?
correct. That it showed it had two dashes underneath it, I believe.
So it jumps right out at you, doesn't it?
Yes, but that's not the wind portion that's in the crane. It was a separate Trimble box that was mounted on the side.
Sir. The wind gauge in the crane, when you sit inside, you can easily tell it's not working, can't you? Can't you?
You can tell it did not connect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what semantic you're using. I'm just gonna focus on what we're looking at in the crane, okay?
Okay.
If we could look at plaintiff's 122. And if you could, Carlos, this is in evidence, go over to page 4 is fine. And Carlos, would you just pull up, there we go. This is the two dashes you're talking about, right?
Yes,
And this is the wind gauge, right?
yes.
And we can tell just by, I mean, literally, does it have a door on it? You open it up, get like a tractor. I know tractors. You open the door, get in and close the door.
Yes.
Okay. So when you get in, you climb up, open the door, get in, close the door, and you look ahead, you can see that, can't you?
You talking about the LMI?
Right there.
Yes.
So it literally, to know that your wind meter's not working, and literally all it takes is to open your eyes.
That would be correct to see
Okay.
that it's not reading.
And yet, we know that on the daily crane inspection, there ain't a darn word said about this non-working wind meter, is there?
It doesn't say anything on there.
Was from your understanding, since you were the account manager and you were having email traffic or text traffic with Mario Ramirez, the rigging supervisor, was there a rush that you were aware of? Were y'all rushed?
I don't believe we were rushed.
Okay, so you can't think of any reason why Ben Kinkle, maybe he was too rushed to look at his screen? Nothing like that, right?
So Ben Kinkle was aware that it was not connecting, but he also, again, had that chart he could reference.
There is not one smidgen of testimony that Ben Kinkle ever pulled out that chart, and you know that, don't you?
I've never seen anything in testimony.
Right, you're just making that up, and I'm asking you not to try to recreate history, okay?
Ben Kinkle has personally told me that.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Is there any testimony, or let me ask this, any suggestion that you guys were being rushed in any way out there?
No.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm gonna show you, get my exclusive.
I don't know. I would struggle hard if I was on this jury because I don't want this lawyer to win. He's just so mean. I wouldn't want him to win. I would have to try real hard to disregard his whole personality.
Let me show you plaintiff's exhibit 130. Would you confirm for me that these are the maintenance records for the 140 crane at issue in this case that was being operated at the
My
time
back.
that David
No.
LaRue killed?
These appear to be the maintenance records for that crane.
Okay, Your Honor, we offer plaintiffs 130.
No objection, Your Honor.
At this time, plaintiff's exhibit 130 will be accepted and admitted into evidence.
Just want to look at a few entries of plaintiffs 130. Let's go back to,
Kind of rude,
why don't we
huh?
start with, entry on the first page. Some maintenance done. Fifth entry down. Pull it up. And you see here, sir, that there's some work, some sort of work done on the wind meter on this crane.
Yes.
Okay, can you tell us when that was done?
It was done, I think it was finished on April 12th, 2018.
Okay. You see that there's a January 29th, 2019 date.
Yes,
What is that date?
that'd be the close date.
Okay, that's the close date of the actual work that was done.
I believe so. I've never actually seen these documents before.
You are, I mean, I just want to be clear, you're the corporate representative.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go over to page 4. David Laree was killed in 2021, correct?
Yes.
There's another entry here in the middle of the page. Bring that up, please. Here it says install wind meter. See that?
What it says.
Okay. And do you bother, let me ask you this way. Did you look at the maintenance records of this crane before you came here and acted as corporate rep?
I have not.
Okay. Now, as the corporate representative for TNT, would you agree that the job safety analysis was not done properly for this lift?
I disagree.
So you would say that the job safety analysis that was performed before David Laree was killed, from the point of view of TNT, was done correctly?
I think it was adequate. Yes.
It was adequate. All right?
Yeah, I think it was adequate.
Okay, so going, and you would say, you don't see any improvements that could or should be made to that job safety analysis. Is that true?
No, because I wasn't at the JSA meeting.
Well, you sat here and listened to all the testimony. You looked at the JSA, correct?
Right. I've seen the JSA, but I wasn't at the JSA meeting where they discussed those topics.
Right. And let's put up plaintiff's exhibit 21 and go to the second page. And let's make sure, from the corporate representative's point of view, I want to ask you, sir. This is the JSA for setting the air handlers on the fourth floor, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then I just want to hear from you. Your position would be, as the corporate representative, the official position of TNT is this was an adequate JSA, true?
Yes.
Okay, let's look here. Pre-task equipment inspections is not checked. Can we bring that up in the middle, please? Pre-task equipment inspections, you would say, hey, he didn't check it, but that's adequate, right?
So
Your position?
he did inspect the crane that day.
So you would say this is adequate.
I think he missed that box, but the crane was inspected that day.
Is this adequate?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, this is adequate. All right, and let's go down to the next row, please. All personnel involved qualified or certified for the task. He didn't bother to check that box, and you would say the official position of TNT crane and rigging is that's adequate. True?
I think he just missed that box.
I didn't ask you what you think. I'm asking you as the official spokesperson for TNT in this trial, whether it's adequate from your think. I asked.
That was an accident. I don't know if anybody still has little ones running around that watches this, but what I need to know is the best YouTuber for little kids to watch, to teach them things like kindness. Like the most popular YouTube that teaches things like how to be kind to other people and still get your way. Because we need to send these links and these videos to this attorney. That's what I'll call him. Now, maybe he just needs to watch more Barney. Maybe we can all get together, chip in money, and send the real Barney, Mr. Rogers. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. We need to send him Mr. Roger videos. We need to tie him down to a chair and make him watch every single episode of Mr. Rogers until he can repeat it back to us verbatim. Then we'll let him go.
Asking you as the official spokesperson for TNT in this trial, whether it's adequate from your point of view for him not to check the box to make sure that everybody involved was qualified and certified. Is that adequate or not adequate?
I didn't fill the JSA out. I can't say.
So you can't answer that.
I can't answer that.
Okay. So after 3.5, how long have you been the corporate rep?
Maybe 6 months.
Okay, after 6 months and after almost, I guess we're in our third week of trial, you still can't tell us whether from the position of TNT, this is adequate. Is that true?
That's true.
Okay. Can we agree you're supposed to check that box? Can we agree on that?
If all personnel involved are qualified and certified for the task,
There's a reason that's the first sentence, the first thing to check, right?
that's correct.
Because it's super important, is it not? Is that not super important?
I think it's more important to discuss it in the JSA meeting.
Okay, so the writing's not important.
No, the writing is important,
Okay.
but the discussion is more important.
Were you at the rig yard or the yard when this load that tipped over and killed David LaRee fell over?
I was not.
Who did you learn from that it fallen over?
Mario Ramirez
Okay, and did he call you, text you, what?
called me.
And he called you and told you what?
He told me the unit had fallen over and there was some light damage to it.
Did he tell you it was a complete surprise for it to fall over like that?
He did.
So I mean, basically, he told you, we connected it up the way we thought it was supposed to. We started lifting, the thing just fell over without any warning, right?
That's pretty much what happened.
He was
Yes,
shocked by it, wasn't
I believe so. Yes.
he? You guys have 40 offices across the country.
We do. 2 in Canada.
They'll operate all over North America and Canada, right?
Not quite all over North America, but most of it, yes.
Y'all call yourselves the crane experts, don't you?
That's what it says on our website.
Sure. And that's what people, they look at it, they say, who are the crane experts? Well, it's TNT. That's what they call themselves, right?
That's what they say.
Y'all claim that you focus on safety always, right?
We do. We do.
You say
I don't think he stole Kim's socks. I think he badgered him out of. I think he just started firing mean questions at him until Kim finally said, "Fine, I'll take my socks off."
core values include safety first, right?
That would be one of my core values as well.
You claim that that y'all plan the work and work the plan, right?
I don't know if we claim that.
And you've heard the other experts say that we looked at TNT as the crane experts, right?
I've heard other people say that in their statements. Yes.
Even Manny Rivera, the crane superintendent, said y'all were the crane experts, didn't he?
I believe that's what he said by deposition.
Yeah, he's a superintendent. Help me, let's focus for a minute on how the company's organized. You report to whom?
I report to a guy named Ramsey Lawson. He's the South Texas sales manager.
South Texas sales manager?
Yes, sir.
And who does he report to?
I believe he reports directly to the president of the company.
So you're literally 2 steps away from the president
Yes,
as an account manager.
yes.
And you're responsible for what area of the country?
So my area is mainly San Antonio and Austin.
Okay, so all accounts in San Antonio and Austin, that's you.
No, there's other people in the field as well.
Who?
So we have Clyde Smith, we have Sterling Freimeyer, Justin Mercer, and Brad Gann.
Are they all account managers?
Yes,
Are they equal to you?
similar.
Are they equal to you?
Yes,
Okay, so you're telling me that your boss supervises how many people?
I don't know exactly because he supervises more than one location.
Okay, and does any of those know that
I get it, Kelly, but the jury is watching. So, I mean, if I'm on the jury, I dislike this man. Someone died, so I feel empathetic to that, and you know, that's the first thing on my mind is someone died. Second thing on my mind is I don't want this lawyer to win anything.
you reference, do they encroach on your area?
They do. We're all in the same area.
Okay, so y'all are just managing accounts in that general area?
Yes,
And this yard that we've heard about that was being managed by Mario Ramirez, where is that located?
that's in Marion, Texas.
Okay, and that's a yard there that Mario was managing?
He didn't manage the entire yard. He was in charge of like the units and things like that that came in.
Okay, so he was managing the kind of equipment that was involved in killing David LaRue.
He was in charge of managing equipment.
Yeah, and then he was also a rigging supervisor.
He was.
Was he responsible for training other people,
He was responsible for training.
other young people or people that weren't as experienced as him?
Correct.
Okay. And Manny Rivera,
Yes.
crane superintendent, and also has a role in rigging as well.
So I don't know about the rigging side, but he was our hydraulic crane superintendent.
Okay, so he was superintendent of hydraulic cranes.
Yes, for the San Antonio, Austin area.
Okay. Who was his boss?
His boss would have been a guy named Johnny Johnson.
Okay, he was also at the scene, wasn't he?
Eventually, yes.
Yeah. And then who does Johnny Johnson report to?
So actually, I don't know who Johnny Johnson reports to directly.
Right, probably the president, right?
It may be.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to be clear. You were 2 steps down from the president. Manny Rivera is 2 steps down from the president, right? Right?
Correct.
Okay. You got your job as account manager. It looks like in October 2019,
That's correct.
and you announced it on LinkedIn. You list yourself as account manager at TNT Crane and Rigging Inc.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You guys describe yourselves as the professionals in crane operations, right?
I would say so. Yes.
And professionals in rigging, correct?
We do have a specialized rigging department.
You've described yourself as the professionals in rigging, don't you?
If that's what it says on our website,
You say you also you're the best and safest in the country. Did you know that?
I think we are.
So you would say, ladies and gentlemen, despite
And thank you, Donald, for being an extreme member on Patreon. I appreciate it.
everything you've heard, we are the best and safest in the country. True?
I don't know about that, but I mean, we do a lot of things to in order safety on job sites.
You say that y'all the largest in the country, right?
So I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, one of the largest crane operators in the country.
That's what they say.
You agree with that?
I agree.
All your people are trained and experienced, right?
All the people, we have a lot of people in training as well.
Certainly, anybody you send out there to the field as a rigger is going to be trained and experienced, right?
For the task, yes.
Anybody you send out as a crane operator should be trained and experienced, right?
Yes.
Anybody you send out as a signal person besides your rig should be trained and experienced, right?
And remember, we are streaming on Twitch as well, but not Facebook anymore.
Yes, yes.
Now, we've seen the contract in this case. Did you get a chance to review it?
I got to review it. Yes.
Is there anything in there that allows you to send a crane that has a component that's not working?
I don't recall.
If I were able to hand you the contract, could you look to it and tell me where it says you can send a crane that has a component that doesn't work?
I'd have to read the contract, but I'm not a contracts guy.
You can, I mean, is there anything that you can point out to us right now that tells us that it was okay if you send them a crane with a component that doesn't work?
I don't think the contract says either way.
Or you think the contract allows you to send a crane with a component that doesn't work?
I just don't think it says anything about that.
Don't you think that it's the whole idea of doing a contract when you're making promises on behalf of TNT is to send equipment that works?
But we sent them a crane that was capable of doing the job.
That's what you said, right?
Yes.
You heard the crane expert testify in this case, did you not?
Crane expert are you referring to?
You didn't hear the expert witness that appeared on Dave Decker, remember hearing from him?
Yes.
Okay, do you remember hearing from, who was the engineer we had? Jason English, remember, did you sit through that?
I recall that, yes.
Okay. So when you sent, plans that exhibit 18, please. Go to. Is that the first page? Can you go to the first page, please? Plans exhibit 18 is a multi-page document that has the first page of that. Okay. I want to pull up. Yeah, I barely caught it. This is, you were having some email traffic with the lay people, correct?
Looks like on here, yes.
Okay, I just want to pull up right here at the bottom. Says see attached reading plan for Wednesday next week, but next week. You pull it up. You see these words here? Can you read these two words for me?
It's cut off on my screen. See attached rigging plan for next week.
And that's, they were forwarding on what you had forwarded to them.
Part of it.
Where did the other lawyer go? Where does the other co-counsel go? This isn't him.
With some attachments they included as well.
Um,
No, the other lawyer, the other one. So the one who was objecting, who sits in this chair right here, that's not him. There's another one. I don't know where you would think this day might be pretty important, right? The trial is almost over at this point.
look at the actual quote that's associated with the contract that we've heard about. We wrote it down 173070, which is Plans Exhibit 14. This is one of the quotes that you sent to the people from Lay, correct?
That's correct.
This is the one they ultimately went with, right?
Yes.
This is one of the options you provided to them on the board, right?
Yes.
Okay. I want to turn the page if you could, just to see what the scope of work was. Can you read for us the scope of the work?
It says it can set 2 air handlers into side of building and 3 air handlers into top of building.
Okay, so I just want to focus on just the two air handlers, because of the second one that fell over and killed David LaRue, right?
So it was the second piece of the first unit.
So pick and set. And so this occurred during the process of picking and setting an air handler, right?
No,
Are you suggesting that the job was over as soon as the corner of the unit touched the skate?
No.
Is that what you're suggesting?
No.
Would you admit, without me having to show you the testimony, that they were in the process of lifting the unit when it fell over?
I would not disagree with you.
I'm sorry, that's a double negative. What did you say?
I don't disagree with you.
Okay, so you would agree that they were in the process of lifting the back end when this thing fell over, right?
They were in the process of lifting the back end, yes.
And can we agree that lifting is a lift?
No.
Okay, so your position is, even though a signal was given to hoist up, to readjust the skate, that as far as you're concerned, that was not a lift. Is that your testimony?
So at that time, it was a lift technically, but it was a lift technically, but
Okay.
control of the
Then I
unit.
checked to non-responsive for everything after I admitted that it was a lift technically, which is all I asked.
Sustained.
Okay. It would be very hard for you to try to make the case as a corporate rep that when your crane operator is hoisting up at the command of the signal person, that wasn't a lift. That'd be hard to make that case, wouldn't it?
It would, but at that time, David Laurie had control over the operation.
We'll get to that, and I appreciate you volunteering that. We'll get to that.
Objection, sidebar.
Sustained.
Object non-responsive then.
Objection.
Your sidebar objection is sustained. Give him an opportunity to, overruled.
I didn't even ask the question, you started talking. That's the point.
Yeah, overruled.
Let's go to the same document, claims exhibit 14. Go to TMT 1536. And just bringing up, that line that we looked at a couple of times. This is equipment that you guys, according to the quote, we're gonna provide, correct?
So at the time, that was for the rooftop units, yes.
Okay, and just help me, do I see the words two come-alongs there?
That was for the 6-point lift on the rooftop units.
Are the words two come-alongs there?
That's
Okay. Now, one of the things you were telling us about who was the riggers, how many riggers, all that. Recall that?
yes.
You had to admit, of course, that there was a rigger / signalman on the 4th floor, right?
We had a we had a qualified rigger that was up on the 4th floor acting as a signalman.
I understand that's your position now, is that he's a qualified rigger, but he was doing the work of a signal person, correct?
That's correct.
But when we look at the second to last page of the quote, what we see is counts the number of riggers that are checked off here. Can you tell me what that number is?
That says 4.
4 riggers. Right?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure I get your position, because I was a little confused last week. Your position is we provided how many riggers?
2.
Just 2.
Just 2.
Who were they?
They're Rick Roel and Juan Garcia.
Rick Roel, Juan Garcia.
Yes.
So we do know that a rigger was on the 4th floor.
Yes.
Juan Garcia.
Correct. Acting as a signalman.
Sure, I understand that's your position, but let's just focus on my question. It was a qualified rigger from TNT on the 4th floor, true?
Yes.
And then you said the second rigger, you realize it says 4 here, right?
See that?
Okay. Is that just a mistake?
Oh, we had 4 out there.
Okay, who are the other 4? Who are the other 2?
So it would have been Mario Ramirez and another truck driver who was hauling units to the
What's his
site.
name?
I don't recall the other driver.
Is it Christensen, something like that?
I don't know.
Okay. What about Manny Rivera? Was he not a rigger as well?
No.
So he's not qualified as a rigger.
He is a qualified rigger.
Okay, so he was qualified as a rigger, but he wasn't being charged as a rigger.
Right. Neither was Mario Ramirez.
But you realize Mario Ramirez admitted that he supervised the rig on the floor.
Supervise second unit, yes.
Yeah, so, in fact, he told us that one of the two reasons he went out there was to supervise the rigging of the unit that killed David LaRue. Right?
That's correct.
Okay. But your position is that we charged them for only 2 riggers that day, correct?
That's correct. We didn't charge anything for Mario.
Okay, so on that day, y'all only charged for 2 riggers, true?
Yes.
And that was Rick Roel, right? Who we heard was by the fence or something.
He was bringing the units in from the front of the job site to where the crane was.
So the guy that you charged as a rigger, Rick Roel, was not involved in this lift at all, right?
Correct.
And then you charged Juan Garcia, who you said was not acting as rigger, he was working as signal person,
That's correct.
but you charged him as rigger.
It's the same cost.
Okay. But you charged him as rigger.
Yes.
Okay. And then there were 2 other riggers out there, one of which you can't remember his name, right?
That's correct.
And then we know Mario Ramirez did the supervision of the rigging, but y'all didn't charge him as rigger. That's your testimony,
He did the supervision of the rigging for the first and second unit.
but you didn't charge him out. Okay. One of the things that companies like yours is they keep payroll records, don't they?
We do.
And if we want to see what somebody's billed out of to a customer, we can just look at the records, can't you?
Yeah.
Did you ever look at them?
I did not.
That approach to which, Your Honor?
Yes.
Showing you copies, please. 131 payroll records of TNT for the day in question. Can you confirm that's what I've handed you?
It would appear that's correct.
Your Honor, we offer plaintiffs 131.
Defense, do you have any objections at this time? Thank you. At this time, plaintiff's exhibit 131 is accepted and admitted into evidence.
Okay, so let's look at the actual payroll records and we can pull up Juan Luis Garcia for the day in question, 9/22/2021. The day in question, 9/22/2021. Fifth entry down. No. Sir, Carlos, I need you to pull the entire road, okay? Just highlight it, you don't have to pull it up, just highlight it. All right, what we can see here is the name Juan Luis Garcia, can't we?
Yes.
And we can see that the work order unit code is 140-02, which is the crane in question, correct?
Yes.
And we can also see who the customer being charged, Wade Mechanical at Texas A&M San Antonio, right?
That's correct.
And we can see that he's billed as driver here, right?
Yes.
And we see that he billed 12 and a half hours that day, right?
Right.
Okay. And then we can go down to Manny Rivera.
Jenny, I'm still like 50 minutes away before I can start OJ. I know. Mark Berman's finally on the stand, but I gotta play this trial. I gotta wait 50 minutes and then we can start OJ.
Actually, just don't even mess with it, okay? I'm just gonna leave it just like this. Don't highlight it, don't pull it up, don't do anything. This is, let's look at the next entry. We see Ben King, do we not?
We do.
He's listed as operator, right?
Yes.
That's the same crane, right?
Mhm.
Yes,
Yes.
same company,
Yes.
customer at the same site,
Correct.
listed as operator,
Yes.
12 hours that day.
That's right.
Okay. Then we see another individual, Christian Lindemann, right?
Yes.
Same crane,
That's correct.
same customer. White
Yes.
Mechanical, same site, San Antonio,
Yes.
listed as rigger labor
What it says?
for an hour and a half.
Yes.
We see another individual, Mario Ramirez,
Yes.
Same crane,
Correct.
the very crane that was operating at the time that David LaRue was killed, right?
Correct.
Wade Mechanical,
Yes.
same site.
Right.
He's listed at rigger labor,
That's what it says.
building out it for almost a full day, 7.75 hours, right?
Correct.
Then we see Manny Rivera, the crane superintendent, right?
Yes.
Same crane,
That's right.
same customer,
Yes.
same site,
Yes.
listed as field supervisor. 10.25 hours that day, the day that David LaRue was killed, right?
Yes.
Then we see this fellow, Rick Roll,
That's right.
same crane,
Yes.
same customer,
Yes.
same site,
Yes.
listed driver, just like Juan Garcia, who was up on the 4th floor, right?
Right.
Juan Garcia wasn't driving anything on the 4th floor, was he?
It was not.
He was on the radio telling the crane operator what to do, wasn't he?
Yes.
Here we have Rick Roel, listed as driver, right?
That's right.
13 hours and a half on the day that David LaRue was
I hope
killed,
so.
correct?
I
Correct?
hope
What it
so.
says.
And then here's the key point. The very next day, you see that it picks up the very next day, 9/23/2021,
Yes.
and it's got Ben, Mario, Manuel, Juan. What were they all doing the next day?
So it looks like it was classified under safety training, but I don't know exactly what they were doing that
What
day.
does it say they're doing the next day?
Safety training?
It's in the safety training that you're charging Wade Mechanical for, right?
No.
Well, it says Wade Mechanical, job site, customer.
So it
What it
was,
says?
it was built to that job, but we did not charge the customer for it.
Well, we don't never know yet.
You can look at the invoice.
So for some reason, the day after David LaRue was killed, these 6 guys who were involved all went and did 7 or 8 hours of safety training. Is that right?
What it says.
Okay.
If she was an asshole, yeah, her sex has nothing to do with it.
Now, Ben Kinkle no longer works at TNT.
That's correct.
And you told us that, he did say, I don't feel comfortable answering 38 questions under oath.
I believe that's what he said in his deposition.
He was asked, do you have to identify chain falls in your lift plan? He wouldn't answer that, would he?
I don't believe, I think that's what he said.
He was asked, would you consider a spreader bar, and to be related to stability of the load? He wouldn't answer that, would he?
That's correct.
He was asked specifically, because we were looking at the JSA, do uncertified riggers present a potential hazard? He refused to answer that, right?
That's what he said.
He was asked, shouldn't you at least know that people doing rigging are uncertified? He refused to answer that, right?
That's correct.
He was asked, shouldn't there be a site supervisor? And he refused to answer that, right?
He did.
He was asked, shouldn't you identify all of the riggers that are going to be involved in operation? He refused to answer that, didn't he?
He did, but again, I believe he felt pretty beat up after the deposition. I think he shut down.
Okay. He was asked, if there is wind, that may cause you to reschedule a lift. He refused to answer that, didn't he?
He did.
He was asked specifically, when you did this JSA, tell us what hazards you identified that you might deal with. He refused to answer that, didn't he?
You're correct.
He was asked specifically, did the JSA, let's pull it up, it's 21, I'm sorry. He was asked point blank.
Hold on one second. He just asked for some water. Can someone give him some water, please?
Here, pull.
And this lawyer, lawyer, this judge will rule. Like if Mr. Kim would just say objection, hearsay, objection, testifying, this judge will say sustained.
Pour some water.
We got it.
Water's water.
Okay, water's water, that's what he said.
Great, we got it.
I know.
Can you put it on the screen?
Your Honor, may I approach the
All right,
witness?
we're ready to go. Go ahead.
You good, Frank?
I can drink while you're
Okay.
speaking.
He was asked point blank, does this JSA that you completed, does it comply with TNT policy? He refused to answer that, didn't he?
He did.
He was asked, hey man, what would you have done differently that day? He refused to answer that, didn't he?
I believe that's what he said.
He said, like, there's a lot of things you could or should have done differently. He wouldn't answer that either, would he?
I don't believe he did.
He was asked specifically, did somebody fail to rig this load correctly? He wouldn't answer that either, would he?
He did not.
I mean, and can we agree that it's his job to make sure ultimately that that the load is rigged correctly? That's his job.
That's correct.
But when he was asked, after a man was killed, under oath, he refused to answer whether the load was rigged correctly, didn't he?
That's correct.
He was asked, hey, would you lift the load if it wasn't rigged correctly? He refused to answer that, didn't he?
He refused.
He was asked, aren't you supposed to inspect a rig before you lift it? He refused to answer that, didn't
He did.
he? He admitted, in fact. Well, let me be clear. He was asked, did you at least walk around the load and check to make sure that it was rigged correctly? He refused to answer that, didn't he?
He did refuse to answer that question.
He was even asked, hey, what do you mean here when you wrote falling units? He wouldn't answer that either, would he?
That's correct.
He was asked, okay, well, tell us if you're a trained operator, what is a critical lift? What are the things you look at? He wouldn't answer that, would he?
Correct.
He's talking to the corporate representative of TNT. TNT is the company on trial here.
He was asked point blank, did anything you do, Ben Hinkle, contribute or cause the death of David LaRue? He refused to answer that too, didn't he?
He did refuse to answer that question. But after listening to his deposition, I agree with his decision.
He was asked if Juan had actually told you that two of the hooks on the front had been disconnected, would you have lifted a unit? He refused to answer that, did he?
He did.
He was asked point blank, are you allowed to move a load when two of the chain falls have been disconnected? He wouldn't answer, would he?
He would not.
Now, you've seen, of course, the testimony of the people on the fourth floor who said that Mr. Garcia was actually in charge up there, right?
I believe that's what they said in their testimony.
Many people from the fourth floor said that, isn't that right?
I don't know exactly how many, but I have heard it, yes.
Yeah, I mean, from their point of view, they could ask for something, but ultimately, Juan Garcia, the rigger, is the one that decided. You've heard that testimony, haven't you?
That's what they said, but I don't agree with it.
Sure, but you weren't on the fourth floor, were you?
It's not.
Okay. I mean, but you do have some real-time knowledge about how some of these lifts were going on, don't you?
Yes.
Because Mario Ramirez was watching the first lift and took pictures and literally texted it to you, didn't he?
He did.
And we've seen that as plain as Exhibit 20. We've heard from his point of view, but now you're on the other end of those texts, aren't you?
Yes.
And so 120, the ladies and gentlemen look at 120 and they wonder who is sending these texts. That's Mario Ramirez, the rigging supervisor, yard manager, right?
Right.
And who's receiving these texts is the account manager, that's you.
Yes.
Okay. And when it's, and if they wonder who wrote, these look tough to pick up, that would be you.
That's correct.
You wrote that.
Correct, but not in reference to this picture.
I
That was in
understand,
reference
you
to-
wrote that once you found out that that fallen over in the yard.
Yes,
Because these, are for whatever reason, these are a little disjointed, aren't they?
correct. They have an unusual center of gravity.
No, I'm talking about the plaintiff's 120, they're kind of out of order. These-
Yes, that's correct. They're not in order.
So just so we're clear, anything that's on the right side in blue, that's what you said.
That's right.
So you're suggesting, what if we didn't move the bar and went around the side? That's a suggestion you were making.
Correct.
And the rigging supervisor and yard manager, he's the one on the left here who says they all come up a little unlevel, right?
That's right.
This is all being talked about long before David LaRue is killed, right?
The day before.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, let's see, 6 in the afternoon, we're talking about 6 in the morning, 12 hours before, right?
That's right.
Okay. So 12, little over 12 hours before, you're having these conversations via text with the rigging supervisor, the very man who the next day is actually doing the rigging of this load, right?
That's right.
And he says they all come up a little unlevel. That one, for some reason, just toppled over as soon as we put pressure on, right?
That's right.
And he was making you aware of that, true?
Yes.
Who did you make aware of it?
Point blank.
Okay, who up the chain of command at TNT did you tell?
So Johnny, I believe Johnny Johnson already knew. Everybody that was in the yard had already known.
Okay, that's important. I want to make
This is David Lurie's wife, the man who died. She is suing TNT.
sure Johnny Johnson, Mario Kaufman.
Yes.
Johnny Johnson's position was what?
He was the branch manager
He was the entire branch manager.
for the San Antonio branch.
How many
Yes.
branches are there?
For TNT,
Yeah,
40.
40. So he was one of 40 branch managers.
Yes.
So as far as San Antonio area, this is a guy that reports directly to the president.
Yes.
He was fully aware that there was an issue with this particular unit because you shared it with him.
I did not share. Mario did.
Mario, you're clear about that.
I'm positive he knew about it.
All right, so just so we know that before David LaRue was killed, the branch manager for San Antonio branch was well aware of this issue with this unit, true?
Yes, he was involved.
These pictures that we see on page 3, these are pictures that Mario sent to you.
Yes.
Did he send them at 1:10 p.m.?
And that's what it says. Yes.
Okay, so just so we're all clear, we all know that David LaRue was, this thing tipped over at
As
about
mud.
1:48 p.m. So about 38 minutes later, a unit that was being lifted tipped over and killed this man, right?
That's what happened.
Okay. And you guys, Mario, the rigging supervisor and yard manager, is exchanging pictures of the first unit with you, account manager, right?
Yes.
And go to 4 pages over. No, one more. No. See, everything and everything. Okay, these are pictures that he sent you, Mario.
That's right.
You received these. You also received a text that said, I have 2 to 3 ton chain hoist to use, right?
He had 2 3-ton chain hoists.
2 3-ton chain hoists.
Yes.
And then you received this text where he said, they need a cantilever bar to do this, make it way easier to do.
I did receive.
He sent that to you,
Yes,
right? Before David LaRue was killed.
that's correct.
Actually, almost 40 minutes before David LaRue was killed.
Yes, he sent me that text 40 minutes before David LaRue was killed. But he did only mention it was easier to do, not safer.
I object to the last part, sir. I ask a simple question. I know you want to make a pitch, but I object my response.
Sidebar.
Okay, sustained on the non-responsive and sustained on the sidebar, counselor, please. Stop with the sidebar. It will be stricken from the record.
I'll move to track the non-responsive portion from the record as well.
That was stricken from the record as well.
Now, we had discussed, when TNT anticipated being sued, right?
I believe we mentioned it, yes.
No, because we saw, a statement from Mario Ramirez that he said it wasn't, we saw a report from Mario Ramirez from the day of, right?
Right. The first report.
Yeah, and then we saw, 6 to 8 hours later, the very next day, he went to a trailer, safety trailer, is that right?
I think he said it was our sales trailer. Well, it's called our sales trailer now, but we have a trailer in the yard with the meeting room.
Yeah, and then he typed up a 2-page, single-page space state through.
Yes.
Did he anticipate a lawsuit by that point?
I don't know.
It's not gonna.
Let me rule on the objection. Overruled. If you know the answer, respond, please.
I don't know the answer.
Do you know whether by the time that Mario Ramirez wrote up that statement, 2 pages, single space, whether TNT at that point anticipated litigation?
I don't know the answer.
Approach is witness, Your Honor.
Yes.
Would the official answers in this case from the other corporate representative help you answer this question?
Possibly.
Okay, let me show you what's been marked as plaintiff's exhibit 66 and direct your attention to question 2. Identify the date you anticipated litigation in this case and see if that refreshes your recollection. Does that refresh your recollection?
The highlighted portion. So I don't know if I've seen this before, but somebody did answer that question.
Can we agree that TNT anticipated being sued on the very day this happened?
That's what this document says.
Bill, Anthony's being really mean. It's hard to focus on the trial because Anthony is so mean. He needs to watch more Barney. We need to send him links of Barney.
Okay, so what you would say now that you've seen this document is that TNT anticipated it would be sued before Mario Ramirez ever wrote that statement. Isn't that right?
That's what it says.
Now, you kept saying that David LaRue was ordering Juan Garcia, remember?
Directing.
Your lawyer kept using the word ordering, commanding, and you kept saying yes. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. But what we know from the documents that Mr. Garcia filled out before, I mean, not the day after, but the day of, he said,
I'm so glad you asked that question. I'm going to get demonetized. So I'm going to mute it and then fill it in myself. That's what I'm going to do. That's it. I love you. You love me. We're a happy family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? I don't think I'm gonna get demonetized for that. I think I handled that pretty darn good. It's a purple dinosaur that no, I can't. I know, but I can't say, Lightfoot. We're watching the trial. We don't even know if there is a payout. We don't know. We just don't know.
he was asked, didn't it?
I believe that's what he said in his statement.
Yeah, he said David LaRue asked me to go up 3 to 4 inches, right? That's what he asked me to do, right?
Yes.
And he was in the process of going up 3 to 4 inches when the thing tipped over and fell because it was unstable, right?
He was asked to do it, yes.
And it tipped over and fell while it was going up. That's what he said.
You can't punch Bernie. That's mean.
Said in the statement.
I would have to see a statement.
Okay, Plaintiff's Exhibit 51. This is the statement we're referring to. Plaintiff's Exhibit 51. Pull up the last 3 lines. I'm just going to read it and see if I get it correct. Third party asked to cable up. Cable up about 3 to 4 inches when unit fell over and crushed 2 guys. That's what he wrote, correct?
That's what it says.
Okay. And we know because Ben Kinkle gave a statement the day of. Plaintiff's Exhibit 49. Bring up the last couple of sentences. He says, told to hoist up. Of course, the only person that can tell him to hoist up is Juan Garcia, because he's the only one with a radio, correct?
Yes.
Told to hoist up. I stopped hoist when I saw the unit start to lean. That's what he said, right?
That's what it says.
So we know from the very statements, lay aside what Mr. Perez says and all the other witnesses. We know from the guys, one guy on the ground running the crane and the guy up top side giving the orders. Both.
We have one more. So it looks like we have times it. So it looks like we'll be done with this video tomorrow. And then we have one more video.
This thing was coming up when it fell over, right?
That's correct.
Okay. That's a lift, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Under the direction of David Larray with Wade Mechanical.
Object to the last part, Your Honor. Just added
Okay,
that.
sustain.
Can I have that straight for the record?
It will be stricken from the record, the last portion, please.
Thank you. Now, final point if we could, Plaintiff's 21. I want to look at this JSA real quick. Who was the spotter up topside?
That would have been Juan Garcia.
Okay, I want to look at here. We've been told in this case, bring up the hazards. We've been told that one of the hazards was unit danger. See that?
Yes.
And it was told to us by someone, and I forget who it was, but unit danger means the thing might fall, right?
Right. I believe Mario Ramirez said that.
That's right. Mr. Ramirez, as we were looking through here to figure out, hey, where were people told about an unstable, top-heavy unit? And he settled in on this, right?
Yes,
Ben Kinkle wouldn't answer, right?
that's correct.
Other witnesses said it was fallen units, right?
That's right.
And so Mario Ramirez, the rigging supervisor, he's the only one that told us that he felt like these 2 words meant that the unit was unstable and top heavy, right?
Yes,
He's the only witness that said that, right?
I believe so.
And so what we did was we looked at, okay, well, how did Ben Kinkle propose to deal with this issue? Remember? And he put spotter, right? Spotter, right?
Yes,
And now you've admitted, of course, the spotter was Juan Garcia, right?
that's correct.
And so what we know is Juan Garcia, I know you say he was commanded, but from his own words, he was asked to cable up, right?
Right.
That Juan Garcia was asked to cable up by a third party, and he radioed down to Ben Kinkle to cable up, didn't he?
That's correct.
Ben Kinkle can't see where people are standing from 4 stories below, can he?
No, just anyone that was near the edge.
He has to rely 100% on Juan Garcia, right?
Yes.
That's his eyes and ears up there, and basically his common sense, because He has to rely on this guy, right?
I agree with the eyes and ears part, yes.
Yeah. And so the spotter said cable up. And Ben Kinkle, we saw from his statement, began to hoist, didn't
Correct.
he? Ben Kinkle can't tell where people are standing when this happens, can he?
That's right.
But you know who can is Juan Garcia, right? Is that right?
Sort of. So Juan Garcia could see everyone that he could see from his side, with Way Mechanical making him stay outside of the barricade. He couldn't see anyone on the other side of the unit.
And he shouldn't be telling anybody to cable up unless he knew everybody was out of the way. That's his whole job he was assigned to, was spotter. Isn't that right? That was his job that he was assigned. Isn't that true?
He was assigned as a spotter,
Okay.
yes.
So if your position is, well, he couldn't see, and he needs to get where he can see before he tells the crane operator to come up. Isn't that right?
He wasn't allowed inside the barricade.
Isn't that right?
No.
And if he couldn't see where people were, then he shouldn't have given the order.
He was,
That was his job, wasn't it?
he was given the order by someone who could see.
He was asked.
He was asked to cable
Okay.
up by someone who could see, David Loray.
Right. If he couldn't see, he was specifically assigned by the crane operator to be the spotter, wasn't he?
That's what it says.
Okay. That's what it's shown.
You direct defense?
Yes, Your Honor, we pull up.
All right, guys, here we go. Don't worry. Kim is going to clean all that up. Kim is going to ask questions to contradict what that lawyer just did, right?
21, yeah.
Spotter.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name's 51. Yeah. Who placed Mr. Garcia where he was?
David Loray.
And tell us where Mr. Garcia was placed.
There's no object to speculation. He does not know that. And that is not any evidence in this case. He's just speculating.
Your Honor.
Under 602, he has no personal knowledge of this.
Okay, you have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. Number one, he's a corporate rep. He can rely on his investigation into the accident. Number two, it has been testified to in this case that Mr. Gordon placed Mr. Garcia where he was.
That's, if we could approach him, that's not true at all.
Yeah. Approach.
Actually, I don't see it say that that's misleading. Which was it gives you.
Get a little closer. Don't be shy. Get a little closer. Air and solid extra dry.
Out a question as to where he was, because he may have personal knowledge of that as the corporate rep, but not portion.
Is that white thread? Or is that just like the glare from the light? Okay, I see the glare from the light on that one, but that looks like white thread.
That day. So you'll need to create another question to get what you're trying to get to. Okay. So for record purposes, I
Very
am going
true.
to sustain the objection, and then
Where was Mr. Garcia at the time of the incident on September 22nd, 2021?
It's on the fourth floor,
Where?
outside of the barricade.
if I am facing the barricade as it's being drawn in, was he on the right-hand side or the left-hand?
He's on the left-hand side.
And well, and the skate that was misaligned, was that on the left-hand side or the right-hand side?
It was on the right-hand side, the opposite side.
And where was Mr. Montalongo, on the right-hand side?
Yes,
And Mr. Larray?
also on the right-hand side.
From Mr. Garcia's vantage point, could he have seen what was going on the right-hand side?
No.
Actually, Nan, the more I think about it, the more impressed I am that someone sewed a button back on instead of just leaving it or getting a whole new suit. They sewed a button back on.
He could not have,
Why?
because the air handling unit would have been in the way.
And so if we look at who would have been in the best position to know what was going on that right-hand side?
Really, anybody on the right-hand side of the unit.
Was Mr. Larray on that right-hand side?
Yes.
And so if we look at the totality of this statement, if we can just blow it up. Thank you. Mr. Garcia did Mr. Garcia in his statement say he was signaling them the operator?
Yes.
And what were the Way Mechanicals guys doing?
They were walking in the AC unit.
And where had the front end ended up?
It says front end had chain fall.
Okay. What was the third party? Who did you understand the third party to be?
That would have been Way Mechanical.
And what were they
A
signaling
man.
anyway?
They're signaling Juan to cable down slowly
Okay,
and set front and side of unit on skates.
and was that accomplished?
That was accomplished.
And then
I always crisscross. I never ever go straight across because I just feel like it's gonna fall back off. Every time I sew a button back on, I crisscross. I know, I do it anyway.
and what did the third party do next?
They then pulled the unit in and worked chain falls to put in unit as much as possible into building.
And who is the third party here again?
Again, that's Way Mechanical.
And then what happened next?
And they cut the chain falls off the front of the unit while rigged to the back side of the unit.
Any reason to dispute that?
No,
And then what happened here next?
I believe it says skates were being put into position on backside.
And that's where the front right non-lock and skate was not aligned.
That's correct.
Okay. And then what did Way or the third party do next?
They then asked to cable up about 3 to 4 inches.
So Way, asked to cable up.
Yes.
And who did you understand that person to have been to make that ask?
David Laurie was given the commands on the 4th floor.
And he would have been in a far superior position to actually see what was occurring on that right-hand side of the unit.
Yes.
Waiting, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Who was in the best position to see what was actually occurring on the right-hand side of the unit?
David Laurie and anyone on that side of the unit.
Would Mr. Garcia have been able to see what was happening through the air handler unit onto the right-hand side of the unit from his vantage point?
No, he would not have been able to.
Now, if we can pull up '94 and go to page 501.
Mr. Kim, one moment, the deputy, they just signaled for restroom break. We're gonna take a 10-minute break so the jury can go to the restroom.
All rise.
Sure, break up Kim's, but not the other guys. interrogation. All right. They're going to the bathroom. Let me do what I need to do. Really, really, really quick. As quick as I can. Wish the lawyers would come up and fight about something real quick for like two seconds. But they won't. I'm setting up OJ real quick while they're taking a break. Oh, and Mark Furman is on the stand, guys, now, and OJ. And he's the one that single-handedly killed the entire case, or so I've heard. Single-handedly, this man is the reason that OJ Simpson went free. And we're about to hear his testimony. I don't know if the glove part is now or not. I don't think so. I feel like maybe OJ would have to be on the stand for that. I don't know. But I don't know if OJ gets on the stand. I do not know. I do not know. Okay. Whoops, that's the wrong. All right. We're done. We did great. We did. I can prove to you that women didn't design ties. Women aren't allowed to choose fashion. And I can prove that because of men wearing zero wires ever. Like they don't ever have wires digging into them. And two, you can easily tell every single breast size of a woman you see, but you can never tell a penis size unless you can, because, you know, it's unhideable. All right. We're going to go to OJ now. Thank you so much for coming out, guys. I will see you all very, very, very soon. Bye, guys.
Got these life echoes, digital dreams. Through the screen, her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late night when the world sleeps, she's the friend that always keeps. Giggles roll like thunder loud. She stands out in any crowd. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Dreaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Her eyes hear a sky so blue. In her jokes, there's a truth so true. Wicked stream, she brings the light. Turns dark days into bright. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Streaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray,